Hi there. If all goes well, I'm recording this. It looks like I should be recording it, and I hope you can hear me. I guess no worries, otherwise I'll record it again. Of course, obviously. So yeah, I'm gonna make a video on absolute beginners knitting, like completely beginners. You don't need to know anything, or you don't need to be able to do anything regarding knitting or crochet or needlework, anything. You'll be fine after this video. And of course in combination with some practice. I taught myself how to knit, and now I do like whatever comes with my hands. Like I pick my nails, so I really like to keep my hands busy. Maybe that's why. For me, it's perfect. And so yeah, I really enjoy doing it, and I picked it up quite fast. And I'd say if you're any little bit handy, or even according to me, if you feel like doing it, I feel there's something in it for you. If you are attracted to this, I think you'll pick it up easily. Maybe some handiness comes in handy. Let's just stop talking and show you. So I've got some things prepared here. Like, look, I know a friend of mine asked me to make this video, and I believe she doesn't have knitting needles at home. So I picked up 2 pencils, and because they're just the same as a knitting needle. Look, this is a knitting needle. That's actually what you need is a stick, kind of soft. You don't want it to be too rugged, or of course, makes sense, your yarn would get stuck to it. But and it needs to be a little bit pointy. Some at the end, some needles, some, I guess, companies make their needles more soft, like these ones, and some are more pointy, even though they're quite thick. The number would be going up, still their points remain very pointy, which I guess there's something to be said for each of those. Mine are like this, and I like knitting with them. I never thought of it when I bought them. Like I said, I'm self-taught, so I ended up buying a lot of knitting needles, because in the end I did end up knitting way more than I thought I would. But like, I inherited my grandmother's needles, and I've got loads. I've got a whole bag here, all sorts. You can hear them. I'll show you some more. Look, I've got sock needles as well in here, which are all needles that have no like, if you look at this one, has a beginning and it has an end, so you can't keep on going this way, and like a stop to it, I guess. So the sock needles wouldn't have that. They'd be double pointed. I think that's what you call them. But never mind about anything that fancy. You can just take 2 pencils and learn how to knit. So I knitted this little piece, and so this is a very simple stitch. I believe it's called stockinette. Anyway, for me, you shouldn't expect any kind of fancy terminology. I just love this thing. I love knitting. I think it's amazing how much you can learn. You can keep on learning, so you'll never be finished with it, which is, it's really nice. And this is a very simple stitch. I like it. The back side looks like this. I really like this stitch, even though, I mean, it's the simplest thing. Anybody can do it, and still I think it's quite pretty. So what you need for this is the 2 stitches I'm going to show you in this little video, which are basically the only 2 stitches, if you ask me, that make up anything to do with knitting. Like, you have a knit stitch and you have a purl stitch. Now, if you make a knit stitch, I'll show you, it will look like this, like some sort of a V. That's a knit stitch. See this V? That's what a knit stitch gives you. Now, a purl stitch will give you this, like a smiley, or a little line. I call it a smiley. So yeah, so those 2 together, you can do anything you want. I just quickly stitched this one up to show you. See, this is basically a combination. It's a rib stitch, and this is a combination of knits and purls, and knits and purls. I'm gonna teach you in a second, show you, if you want to just knit only 1 stitch for practice, you're gonna end up with something like this. So here I was stitching I was knitting only knit stitches. knit, 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 knit. So many rows of knit stitches on top of each other. What I'm going to show you now, it's quite different. I'm going to show you a knit stitch this way, and then as you turn the work, we're going to do a purl stitch, and that gives you this. So you do a knit stitch, a purl stitch, a knit stitch, a purl stitch. So we'll do it together. So you can, if you find yourself some yarn, I hope you can find yourself, even if you don't have the needles, I hope you can find yourself some yarn. Or I was trying it here with some what do you call them, brushes, and I was trying to give an example how you could maybe knit with this. And if you don't have yarn in the house, you could use this which is, I don't know what you call this, like twine. It's like a big ball of cotton twine. You could get this in a hardware store, or I've got some rope here. What is that called? I think it's called jute, right? Maybe this is not as pleasant to work with because it's hard on your fingers, and these are super soft and lovely, but you can knit with it. If it's for learning and you have time on your hands now and you just feel like learning how to knit, the simple stitches I'll show you, but don't worry about this. But look, just showing that you can knit even with the back of two brushes. It works. So you can teach yourself if you don't have yarn. But if you find some yarn and you have pencils, it's better. It's easier than with the back of the brush. I'm doing knit stitches now. So pencils are perfect. I'm going to show you how you start. So this is a normal knitting needle. You need anything that looks like this. Anything straight and maybe shiny, or soft. I mean, doesn't need to be shiny. And so I have a circular needle here. Most of my needles that I use nowadays are actually circular needles. I find them nicer to knit with. I started off with my grandmother's needles, like I said, these ones, in all different sizes. But I prefer knitting with the circular ones, even though if I'm making a circular piece in one, in the round, that's perfect. But even for normal pieces, I prefer these needles because they're so much nicer in your hands. So in that way, actually, the pencils are similar to that. Yeah, so I made a little piece here. I'm going to undo it and show you how to start. I know this was a long introduction. So you can undo it. Look, when you're a beginning stitcher, a beginner knitter, my gosh, if you're a beginner knitter, you're going to need to undo a lot. Don't worry about it. Just prepare for that. Just think, I am going to have to redo a lot. It's like that. You don't want to be wasting out your yarn on like blobs and bits and mistakes and stitches that go missing, and just don't worry about it. Just redo it and just go take it off. And if you want to start again, or say you made a mistake over here, you can just kind of put this back on your needles and then fix your mistake and start again from there. So you're just gonna have to redo a lot. That's just how it's gonna be. Did you see I undid this and I have two sides? So you have to start, you can't just start on like with crochet, you just start here. Not that that matters because we're knitting. If you'd have seen crochet or something, you would start at the end, you make a loop. But for knitting, you take a good length, depending how many stitches you want to start with, how many stitches you want to cast onto your needle, because you need a little bit. So you make a loop and you pull this through. Just a simple loop, just a simple loop. Put your needle through that. That's the start. Now there are many different ways to cast on. I know my sister uses a different movement of her hands and she gets the same cast on as I get. So you can do the same thing in different ways. And also there are other ways to cast on, which give a different result. So I'll show you this one. It's quite straightforward. So you hold your yarn. Don't bother what I do here. You will get a hang of holding your yarn. The basic idea now is that you just kind of, put some sort of tension on both of these yarns, both of the strands. You make a cross, see? Just like that. That's the idea, but I just do it with my fingers in it. It guides it better. Stick your needle through this cross, through the hole, and you go around, under, over, clockwise. Then you kind of tighten it a bit, not too tight. Not the looser the better, but just really easy to move on your needle, not too tight. Then it makes it easier to work later. So see, here we go. We'll just make a cross of this, stick it through. See, under, over. Now, I hope you're doing this at the same time, or just have a good look. I'll just keep on showing you. Like, you just hold it, make a cross out of it. So it's a loop, under, over. Get a hang out of this. It'll be easier. I know in the beginning when I was doing this, I got so frustrated. I couldn't hold the needle. The threads were falling out of my hands. I had no control. But your body remembers, your fingers remember how to do this, and they'll get better at it, like even without you consciously trying. It just takes, I'd say it just takes practice. You just do it. Try. Even though, you might be getting this already. I might have been the one struggling in the beginning. Maybe this is easy for you. There we go. See? So I'm just kind of making some stitches. See, so it's depending how long this is, how many stitches you can set up. I also recommend you in the beginning, just start with a nice thick yarn like this. Don't bother getting any of these. I just put this here for show you any of these beautiful fine, what is it, Angora or mohair. Gosh, don't think of that yet. They're expensive. It's hard to undo, and it just gets you frustrated. You need to just get the hang of the stitches now. That's the one thing. Just kind of, right, we've done the casting on. I've got a couple of stitches here. I suggest if you were doing it and you just see this part of the video again. I'm not going to show it again or film it again. It just takes a lot of time. The video becomes so long then. So I suggest, yeah, this is a casting on. So it's just, you just watch it again if you didn't. It's a mess here. And you can just keep on doing that. Just start again, take it off, make another one until you're happy with the result. Because this is, of course, the beginning of your piece that you're making. So honestly, I tell you, mine was all over the place in the beginning. I had huge bits in between, huge spaces. This is okay. I am not a perfect knitter by no means. But it's all about, liking it. I love it so. And so we're going to do a knit stitch. Are you ready? You stick your needle. Look, you've got some sort of control over your yarn. I'm not like holding it like this or pulling it. I'm not holding it, like not holding it at all. I've got some sort of tension here so that I could guide my needle in this hole. So you go from here to the back of that hole. You take the thread, you go under over, just the same as with the casting on. That's your new stitch. Under over, and you pick that new stitch up then and drop the old one. So we stick in the old stitch. There's a hole there. Go in. Take our yarn under over. There we go. Stick it in. Go around. Take that stitch. That's the new one. Get rid of the old one. Go in. Over, take it, get rid of the old one. Go in, over. Can you see what I'm doing? I hope this is clear. Take it. In the beginning, I know this is harder than it looks maybe in the beginning for you, but maybe mightn't be for you. Like again, it was for me. But see, this I'm the living proof. Practice makes you do it. So again, you just make that new stitch, take it, you got it here, and just slip the other one off. That's it. So you always work kind of at the tip of the needles, and sometimes you help the yarn a bit move over, so to make more place. Otherwise, if they're all kind of crowded here, you just can't do much, or they slip off and panic. So, and here as well, you can push them forward a bit if you need them closer. Stick it in, over. So this is knit. We are knitting. That's it. See, I'm gonna just take them a bit further, so some better control over my needle. In, over, in, over. There are so many ways to do this as well. I show you this way. Once you get a hang of it, you can learn, you can teach yourself other ways. But this is making this. So now we are turning the work around because we've got the yarn here now. So this shows you where you started, right? So this shows you this is the back side. For me, this is how I see it. You could work the other way around, but you decide for yourself what you're going to make. I'm going to make this stitch. So I decide this is the front of my work. So then this is the back, and then my thingy is here. The start of the work is here. So this helps me see this is the back of my work. Plus it looks like the back, but maybe that takes a while to start seeing this. So if I want to make this, like I said, this was one row. This is the start, right? So this was one row. All right, yeah. This was one row of casting on, in all fairness. And then there was a row of knit. And then a row of purl. So that makes sense, right? So I am at the row of purl. And at the end of the row of purl, I'll be back here where we started. So for this stitch, like I said, we do one row of knitting and one row of purl. Purl, what's the difference between knitting and purl? For purl, we need to take this thread, keep it towards us. So for knitting, it didn't matter. We just left it there, stuck the needle in, right? And the thread is in fact behind the needle or behind the work, where you have to bring it in front and keep it in front for the purl stitch. So we keep the yarn in front and we stick the needle like this. You don't need to do this, I just show you this so it's clear. You just stick the needle in here. So not this way, but this way, from the back to the front. And then you do the same thing with your yarn. Just go over and take the new stitch, slip the old one off. The yarn stays in the front, that's automatic, that just happens. There we go, that's two. So you stick it in there. See, this is also good if you knit quite loosely. It's easy to get your needles in there. In the beginning, I wasn't loose because, of course, when you're learning, you're tight. You're holding this so freaking tight. You're just pulling it and it's not working. I can't hold it. So you are. But you really get a hang of it. And it's something, maybe if you are one of those people just like me, who is a tight beginner, it's a working point, let's say. It's something to pay attention to. So we go in front, back to front, yeah, like that. Back to front, over, back to front, over. Oh, see, that slipped off, but there's no harm done. Over. See what I did? I'm just kind of pushing them forward a bit. Back to front, see? Okay, sticking it in here. The yarn is always at the front for the purl stitch. Over, and just, this is the new stitch, and this is the old one. We can let it go. It's set, it's secured now. Stick it in, over. I hope you're doing this at the same time, and I hope it's working for you. And I hope you can see what I'm doing. I hope it makes sense. Here, another one. In the yarn over. There we go. See? Stick it in, back to front, go over it, go get that new stitch. Sometimes I do this, like I hold it with my finger, let the old one go, last one. That's it. That's it. Then you turn the work around. And look, because we are doing alternating rows of knit and purl, you get this. So when I see this now, on top of this, I want to do, this is giving itself away, basically. If I don't know what I'm doing now, say I go away for a cup of tea and I come back, or say 3 days later, I come back to my work and I want to make a stockinette stitch, or whatever this is called, this beautiful stitch. If I want to make this, and I see this, I know that I should be just making another row of knits on top of this. So let's so if I would find myself with the end here, right, and my work would look like this, and I have to start here, then I can see if I want to make this stitch. Always, of course, there are other combinations of stitches, but if I want to get this, if I see this, then I know that I will have to start doing purls on top of this, and then I'll just continue one row, one row, one row. So that's basically the brick and mortar stitches of knitting, these two. And what happens is that you mix them up in different ways. And this is a sample piece I made. You mix those two stitches in different ways, and you can make all the different combinations. It's really fun to do. Like, I like this as a moss stitch, it's called. I think it's called Irish moss even. So I'm in Ireland, which that's cool. I don't know the other ones. This is something like I think this is one knit, one purl, one knit, one purl. It's quite pretty, isn't it? And it gives an elastic feeling. See, this is the same amount of stitches. This is way wider, and because I'm doing alternating, it's shrinking and it gets more elastic. See, well, this is elastic as well, but you can see it just goes inwards. It's the same amount of stitches on your cast on your needle, because I didn't take stitches away. So I just tried different combinations of knit and purl. So that's it. I made some other examples. For example, look, this is way too advanced for you right now, but just showing you that even increases, so to make it bigger, or decreases to make it smaller, even them are done with the simple knit and purl stitch, which you learned today. So I suggest you just have another look at this video, or just keep on knitting, keep on going at them. You really, these two, look, I've been outside with this. There's little seedlings on it. Yeah, these two stitches will get you anywhere. That's a really good, it's the only start, of course, also for knitting. And the cast on, and those two stitches here. This is another example where there are holes in it. See, it's called ajour. And as this work with holes, there's also 1, 2, 3 different things I was trying. And this is the same thing. This is also just knit and purl, but in between them, sometimes you you knit two together, for example, or you take a thread, move it forward, backwards. Oh, this is something I wanted to tell you. Yeah, and then we're done. If you want to be doing this, if you want to make the ribs, you are all set to go, because all you need is knit stitches and purl stitches, right? Which you know how to do. Maybe if you rewatch this video again, or if you just get your practice going. But once you're ready to do this alternating, you can get this lovely effect. And I wanted to show you something that I thought of while I was doing it, which is, I was doing this on these needles, so that's number 5, yeah. Yeah, so see, you can see this is a, can you see? Yeah, these are two, for me now, they are purl stitches. I have to purl them, see, and then I have to knit 3 to get this. See, that's how you see it. So if I'm gonna just kind of quickly, this is a different way of knitting with these huge needles. Usually I stick them under my arm, and I don't really like that so much. Maybe some people, they like it. I really prefer the round ones. It's so straightforward. So I'm going to just show you what happens, or maybe I already did it and I wasn't telling you about it. So the thread, yeah. So look, I've done 3, the last 3 ones I've did here were 3 knit stitches. So what happens with the yarn for a knit stitch, it's on the back, just stays there. If I do another knit stitch, the yarn stays on the back, but I want to do a purl. So I just put my thread here. Look, there's no other way to bring my thread forward. It's just very simple. So for you, you've seen it now. Just remember that, because if you have your needles and you want the thread forward, you can't just bring it here. There's no way. So it's quite simple. It's just something I thought to show you. So you bring it here, nothing complicated about it. Just bring it to the front. Then you can start your purl stitches. 3 purls. And the same thing happens here. You've got it here. So you're going to want to do 3 knits here. So you just, see, bring it in between your needles, bring it to the back, and you can knit. Now, this is another thing. If I'm going away now, and I'll come back. So imagine I'm in the middle of a row. Oh, I'll show it to you with this one. I'm in the middle of a row, right? How do I know what I'm doing? I might have forgotten everything. Maybe sometimes your work is more complicated than this, right? You might just forget. So you can tell from where your yarn is. It's here on the back. So you've been doing purl stitches. some knit stitches, I'm sorry. So because your yarn is here, you've been doing knit stitches. So sometimes now this is quite straightforward, but sometimes this can help you. It can also help you to know on which side you were working. Because if I want to work here now, yes, okay, my yarn is in the front, so it might be purl, but my yarn is on the wrong needle. This makes no sense. What am I going to do? Yeah. Just, oh, well, suddenly if you turn it around, you can, you got your yarn on the back, and it's a proper, perfect knit stitch that you can do. There we go. So that's it. I thought of showing you that as a little trick, which in the beginning, these things might help. That's it for now. So don't hesitate trying, don't hesitate starting again, taking it all apart, start again until you get like this even. See, that's another thing, you want to get a bit of an even effect, but no hand knitted jumper or scarf will ever look like a machine made one. It'll never be the same. So it'll always have a bit of, and I'm not saying this is the best you get. You probably, after some years, you might get way more even than this, this was a fast one I did with pencils. And I don't knit for very long yet as well. So many probably professional knitters can get it really even. Still, there's always going to be some sort of, wavy effect. So don't be perfectionistic about that. And also that's a whole different subject. After you knit a jumper or a scarf or a cowl would be a nice first project, I'd say. Once you get your first, your casting on is satisfactory, and, you get your thing even, don't do a scarf, just a cowl maybe, because in the end you can just sew it up, right? You just knit something and then you sew it up in the round, or get yourself circular needles later on and knit it in the round. So then you can make yourself something really fast that is easy to make, and you can be so happy with it and use it. But once it's done, you do something like, it's called blocking, and that will even out those kind of unevennesses a bit, but not fully. And you don't want it fully either. I mean, in the end, it is hand knit. That's the wonderful thing about it. So so once you get your evenness going and you get a bit of speed in it, and you're going like, now all your rows are about the same, you go ahead and make yourself a cowl or a hat if you find a pattern, or a hairband, and show it to me. Love to see it. I love to see what you do with this. And if you have any questions, please ask me. If there was something wasn't clear, I know this has become a long video, so I'm going to stop now. But if something's not clear, just throw me a question, throw me a line. You know where to find me. That's it. That's it for me. Happy knitting. Bye.